Hello, fellow traders and investors. It's Rod with POW Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap. Today's a recap for Wednesday. It's Hump Day, August 4th. Hope you are all doing well today. In today's video, as the main topic of the day, we're going to spend a little bit more time on Scotts Miracle Gro. So they just announced their record third quarter financial results. So we'll go over that here and we'll discuss why the stock was down, but essentially it was on guidance concerns. But we'll go over whether or not now is a good time to be buying the stock. I personally think that we could start to see a bounce here. It's very, very similar to the MJ space at the moment, actually. So going to go over that chart here in just a moment. But as we normally do, we'll run through some news and events on the day today. I'll put some timestamps in the description below as well for your convenience. But make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. But we'll go over the news and events, and then we'll look at a detailed analysis of the SMG chart. And then we'll look at the rest of the broader market and the crypto space. So diving right into today's news, private companies added 330,000 jobs in July, according to ADP, but that fell far short of the 653,000 that was estimated. So the market really didn't see, we closed near the low of the day today, but no real weakness and no real reaction there from Mr. Market. So Robinhood surges 50% in second day of wild trading and up over 100% this week. I'll bring that up on the chart here, but I think it was up about 150%. From its low after the IPO. Also, General Motors misses Wall Street's second quarter earning expectations and raises its 2021 guidance. So on to Scotts Miracle Gro. So company-wide third quarter sales increased 8%, driven by Hawthorne growth of 48%. So they had a record earnings and beat estimates here by quite a large margin here on the revenue. It was 1.61 billion versus 1.48 billion expected. EPS came in at 3.98 versus 3.5. And like I said, the reason why the stock was down is because the CEO said that inflation is bad for America and that the stock was down. I think it's because of that guidance and just it says right here that it's continuing to erode profit. So I think that's why the market and the stock was down today. I think that's why the market perceived that as bearish. You can see here we closed at the low of the day. We're now daily oversold as well. We were just daily oversold here back on the first week of July. And now here we are back to daily oversold. I do want to highlight that EMA 12 has been a brick wall for resistance. So you can see here this yellow line, EMA 12 on the daily time frame, has been rejecting the price ever since we really lost it back here at 247.84, which was the second week of May. So if we can close a candle above that level, which is at 177.14, I'm extremely bullish on this name long term, but I do think that a big move is going to be in the cards, and now is the time to start loading up, in my opinion. You can see on the monthly chart, we have EMA 26 coming into play here, and we have no real resistance all the way up until the all-time highs, but absolute monster move here on SMG. And just seeing that monthly consolidation, which we know SPY, the S&P 500 is likely going to not set up well, similar to MJ, not set up well if the S&P 500 sees any real weakness of a 5 or 10% pullback. That's not going to bode well for the SMG chart. As you can see here, we are extremely beaten down. We're almost weekly oversold as well. So like I said, daily oversold, weekly oversold. We have a monthly EMA 26 test coming up, so lots of support in that area, and the 150 psychological even area could be a nice strong support to target. So just like most MJ though, we have a lack of resistance on the weekly. So once we do get this weekly bounce underway, we had a pretty bearish close today, closing near the low, but we could be going to weekly oversold here. And like I said, if we see the S&P 500 roll over and the broader market show weakness, then we could see that weekly RSI get quite extended there to the downside. But just from current levels, we have no real resistance for about 50% of upside. So going to be watching for the weekly bounce. SMG is on my watch list, and I'll be looking for an entry on this for a long-term no touch. But again, watching that EMA 12 as strong resistance and an absolute brick wall over the last few weeks and months. But I do want to highlight that, like I said, we're in a weekly downtrend. We're extremely bearish at the moment. It's a bit of a falling knife. So if you were looking to scale into this daily and weekly oversold bounce to prepare for it, once we know it's going to happen eventually, so you can start to scale in, now would be a good time, in my opinion, a good time as any. So on the weekly time frame, we had our heads up here. So we had that new all-time high at 254.34. And then we went into a lower high, lower low, and weekly downtrend. So once we confirmed that lower high and we lost support here at 223.12, once we lost 223.12, that was the moment where I would have bailed ship. I personally wasn't in a position, but I am now interested. And like I said, as soon as we confirmed that weekly downtrend, that was the bearish signal to jump ship. But you can see here we've just been on a strong growth trajectory, and EMA 26 going to be very crucial coming into play here. In terms of the weekly moving averages, we're well below the 10-week moving average, sitting there at 185.16. The stochastic is close to a bull cross, but still some work to do, and MACD still very bearish as well. So got some weekly indicators that are still pretty bearish at the moment, and we lost the 50 weekly moving average, so that was another cause for concern back here when we lost that $200 area. And like I said, we have the strong support around that 150 psychological. We also have the 100 weekly moving average there at 155. So that could be a level to target as well and to look to scale in if looking for any bullish long-term entries. We also had a death cross here with the daily 50 moving average crossing through the 200. And now we're seeing that follow through from that death cross. So like I said, very extended at the moment. And we've already had that bearish indicator play out. So now would be a good time, in my opinion, not financial advice, but do your own research. This is for entertainment purposes only, but that's certainly got my attention here for a long-term no-touch entry, and all the way up to the weekly VWAP up at 204. So no real resistance there. So like I said, I could see a bounce here in the short term. I could see a bounce up to around the $200 once we bottom out, based on the lack of resistance on the weekly. But like I said, going to be targeting that 150 to 155 area, and then look for a potential bounce up to that $200 area with a lack of resistance, especially on the weekly time frame. Once the weekly bounce gets underway, we could see about 50% of upside. Anything, we could bounce 50% and still just be looking for a weekly lower high. So very, very interested to see where this thing's going to go from here. But like I said, expecting a bounce around that 150 and then ultimately a target up to around the $200 area. On the bull and bear list, we had AMC, SMG, and VEGA. On the bull list, Robinhood, not surprising, Zoom, and Coinbase. So Robinhood, massive day today. From the open, we were up 56%, but we did pull back at the end of the day, down 17%. So a bit of a blow off top here in reversal, bearish reversal candle with a huge upper wick. So just be cautious on this name. And from the low here, you can see we're up over 150% there in 3 days. So congrats to the bulls who did buy the dip. If you consider that a dip even, we didn't dip for very long. Once we IPO'd, we came out and we hit a low of 33.25, and then it was just all bulls from there. And I showed this yesterday, but on the 15-minute time frame, you can see here that EMA 12 was rock solid ever since it was established back here on the beginning of the IPO. You can see here that EMA 12 has been holding, never closed a candle below it on the 15-minute time frame, but here we are, we closed one below it. So just be on the lookout for some potential weakness. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw even a 10, 20, 30% pullback here in the next coming days. All right, so moving on, taking a look at the crypto space. So we are green across the board here at the moment. Most names, all our major names in 15-minute uptrends at the moment. And taking a look at Bitcoin, so we did hold EMA 12 on the daily, and we're getting very close. We broke the high of yesterday, 39,785 was resistance. We get as high as 39,854. So the daily bounce is underway at the moment. And we have a lack of resistance really up until the high of this bounce, which is at 42,605. So going to keep an eye out for potential for an ETF. I saw a couple more companies were filing for ETFs on Bitcoin. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw an approval on a Bitcoin ETF in the US here at some point in the next few weeks and months, which would give us that final push higher, in my opinion, in the crypto space and ultimately target around the 80 to 100K area. But moving on, so not really much to report in terms of the broader market. So it was a daily inside bar and tightening range today on SPY, and we closed at 438.98. We were up to 439.14 here after hours, but set up for another potential daily inside bar into tomorrow. But EMA 12 is going to be super important. And then the low here at 436.10, actually 435.99. We essentially had a double bottom there, but a daily candle close above EMA 12. If we see a candle close here on the daily time frame below that EMA 12, that's going to be a cause for concern. And we're just looking for this pattern to play out. But anything above 421.97 is just a daily high or low. And EMA 12 going to be extremely important. And again, not a whole lot to report, but as long as we maintain the weekly uptrend and maintain this weekly EMA 12, Long term, we're just fine. And then on the shorter term time frame, on the daily time frame, we're going to be watching EMA 12 there on the daily as well. And then key support at 435.99. But we did have a record daily close yesterday, and then a close near the low of the day today. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw daily consolidation tomorrow. But again, watch that 435.99 area. That's going to be key. After that, we have a lack of support. So if we lose that level, we have a lack of support for about over 3% of downside. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So the dollar is bouncing here on the daily, but topping out at EMA 12. And at the moment, it's a potential daily bear flag. So that would be good for asset bulls. We can see the dollar confirm a daily bear flag. That would be indicative of potential upside for stocks. So QQQ closed, it was actually bullish today. Closed near the high of the day, a little bit of an upper wick there. And holding EMA 12 as well. So all about EMA 12. Oil, another weak day today. Key support coming up at 65.11. VIX was pretty much muted on the day. So taking a look at metals. So silver bouncing here, got over EMA 26, but ended up pulling back. So it has been strong resistance. And gold has been strong support on the EMA. So gold standing out a little bit stronger here, trying to form a base of support. And silver still struggling with that EMA 26. So gold standing out a little bit stronger here at the moment. Taking a look at biotech sector, pretty much muted on the day today. So EMA 26 is going to be resistance there on the biotech, keeping that one simple. Been rejecting the price ever since we confirmed a daily downtrend here back on the 6th of July. XLE, so not surprising to see weakness here with the weakness in oil and the financial sector. XLF got the daily bounce underway, but didn't see much follow through back within yesterday's range. And potential setup for a daily inside bar and a slow day tomorrow. XLV, new all-time high on the healthcare sector today. Continues to be our lead bull sector. And congrats to the healthcare bulls. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ or for a daily market recap. We'll see you a little bit later on for an MJ sector review. Take care, everyone.